using TripAdvisor, or if I'm not using cheapfares.com, right, which I do use both of those if I'm going to go travel somewhere, they're going to give me plane prices from multiple places, right? And if I'm not using those, I'm going to go to AA.com directly, or I'm going to go to Southwest.com directly, and I'm going to look up my flight information. So Epicor is that. It's a TripAdvisor, right? It's aggregating all these parts places. A lot of times they can tie in with your shop management system. If they can't, a lot of these run separately. ParsTex is a new one that's coming on board. I would encourage you strongly to go to your shop management system and ask them if they have any type of integration through these other systems. I think most of them do, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you certainly should, right? Once again, most people I think are doing a lot of this. That's why I call it the majority, right? We're going to start moving into what I call the minority, right? These are the shops that know they need to embrace technology, right? They know they need to leverage it in their day-to-day operations. They're willing to adopt it, and they want it to work, right? And they're willing to attempt some technology that they know is going to fail. It's hard to adopt technology. I call this, one of the things I say about a leader is leaders lead by two different ways, right? Vision and pain. Pain's pretty easy to lead by. Pain, if you're suffering, it's easy for me to give you aspirin, or to give a shop aspirin and say, here's the pain, here's the way I can solve it, right? Vision is very hard to lead by, right? You gotta allow people to see that vision, and you gotta drive them to that vision. And I think this starts getting into more of a vision, right? And there's a lot more pain in vision. Here, online scheduling and ordering. This could kind of falls in between. If you look at the infographic in between the two, this could be considered stage 2, or you know, but I like that it sits in between two, because there's two different ways you can schedule. You can have something that just simply schedules you an appointment. You know, that could be a website. RepairPal, I think, now has a scheduled appointment feature. Easy Auto Scheduler. There's a couple different ways you can schedule in appointments. Schedulers are getting more and more complex, right, where they're starting to allow and tell you how many hours in your day, you know, what texts have been scheduled. That's why I kind of drop it on 1 or 2, depending on how you're using scheduling. Could depend on how you could benefit from scheduling. At least allow your consumer to go online and to you know, put that schedule in, and put that appointment in for the day. I think that makes it definitely improves the customer experience if you're not letting them do that. Easy Scheduler, like I said, I think they're a pretty good one that I've seen used a couple times. They got if you don't have the ability to do it through your website. Let's move on. Real-time customer communications. This one's a big one for me. In my shop, we use real-time customer communications. There's two kind of different aspects of communication, and as communication moves forward, right now we live in a pull society. Pull communication is everywhere. You get on Google and you can pull whatever information. You can ask a question. You can find the answer very quickly, unless it's something service related. If it's something service related, like your dog going to the groomer or your car going in an auto repair shop, they have to push you that information. So push communication is becoming more and more important as a consumer wants to consume more data. Amazon, they'll push you updates on when your package is at your door. It's going to be delivered in the next hour. I think that auto repair shops, something we could take advantage of is this real-time push communication, right? Definitely improves customer experience, reduce unnecessary phone calls. I want my guys at the front counter not having to deal with, hey, what's going on with my car? I want them to deal with, hey, I have a problem, can you solve it, right? Quicker response times. People are digital now. They're on their phones. They're communicating via text. You're going to send 200 text messages today and receive 200 text messages today. You're probably not going to pick up your phone once when somebody calls, right? So this is the way that we are communicating right now. It's the way we need to communicate. Couple products that do that. Google Voice does it free. A lot of times your shop management systems will do this. Make sure it's two-way communications in the shop management system. If it's a one-way push, your consumer's going to want to respond, so allow them to respond. Auto Text Me, It's my product. That's one of the things we focus on is real-time communications, a very easy way to push out to consumers what's happening during the process, right? What's going on with my vehicle? This is another way to drive reputation and online experience as well, right? It shows a different level of most of the time. We have great intentions about calling, but we never do. Key performance indicators, online toolkits. I think this is another very important piece of our businesses, right? Know our health and know the health of your business. I think 20 groups absolutely help in this. There's a couple different ways to leverage, whether it's a 20 group or whether it's a group of local owners. A lot of times coaches will also give you these tools. RPM Toolkit, very cool. I've seen it several times. It shows you a dashboard of what the health of your business is, what your GP on parts is, what is your sales, what's your gross sales from last year to this year, right? Are you on target? Do you have growth? Do you have some sort of forecasting model? Shop Pros has a cool tool that also allows you to dial in what your forecast of the future is. Shop management system, they'll give you reports. Some of them I've seen that have some ability to give you, some reports that I think would help in you got to kind of take them and export them, I think, into the last thing here, spreadsheets, Google Sheets. In the 20 group I'm in, DSP, Dealer Strategic Planning. A lot of it is spreadsheets right now, but the nice thing, it's an online resource, so they generate PDFs from it, they generate different charts from it that I can see a quick view of what the health of my shop is and the health of other shops. Where are the other shops in my 20 group? How are they performing? How are they not performing, right? I think it's very, we need to get, if you can't read your P&L, which your P&L is great, right? We need some indicators that allow us to know that our health of our business is heading in the right direction or the negative direction. We have enough information where we should be able to feed these systems and build these charts to allow us to do better. Keep moving on. I know I'm blazing through this stuff right now. And I'm going to keep blazing through. Maybe we'll have some questions at the end here. Let me see if I can see if there's any questions. I'll break for a second and see if there's actually any questions right now. Anybody have any questions before I continue to move on? Right. Let's see any questions. So I'm going to continue to move on. Y'all are just waiting till I get to the end so I can play a couple songs. That's the promise. I will play a song or two. Probably going to sound pretty bad. This microphone is not built for music, but that's okay. I'm going to do it anyways. Russell put me up to the challenge. All right. Automated workflow. Another in mid-stage, in stage 2. Increasing productivity. I call this stop losing vehicles. One of the things that I realized when I became a shop owner was there's a lot to manage, and one of them is the cars in the bays. Where are things at? What's happening to the different vehicles? I think that most shops have the best intention of telling the consumer or the customer what's going on with their vehicle, but what happens is we get rushed. We don't know whether we're going to have 5 cars today or whether we're going to have 15 or whether we're going to have 25. And what happens is we like that we have 25 cars in our bays, right? Or we have 25 customers come in, but then chaos ensues and you look out at your bays and you see that they're full, right? And that's great. And you got people running everywhere. But the problem is you don't know what's happening to any one of those cars at any given time, right? And so what happens is we have this paper trail, and if we have no way of tracking these cars, right, then we lose them. And I know in shop management systems they have the repair order, they have the repair order status. A lot of them do. Unfortunately, why that doesn't work so well is we have a lot of different tickets in queue. You might have somebody that's coming in 3 days from now in queue in your shop management system. You might have a ticket that that just got put in there because somebody accidentally turned it to a repair order. Or maybe all your tickets are estimates, right? And so you're writing estimates throughout the day, giving people quotes, but your estimates are mixed in with your current activity, your current work that's going on in your shop, right? So there's no real way to get a visual of what's happening in your shop, right? So I like visual digital workboards, and I think that digital workboards, I think, work very well. So a couple people that offer that, AutoTextMe, obviously, and then also AutoVitals has ShopFlow. ShopFlow is another digital workboard that shows you where your cars are at. So you can look at this and you can see exactly what's going on at any given point in time. With that, I'm going to make a brief pause. Mike has a question. Go ahead, Mike. What's your question? I'll answer it there. Yes, Mike's question was, can people reply to the text messages through AutoTextMe to talk to the service advisor? Yes, Mike, they can. That's one of the things that's important about AutoTextMe, and thank you. Just going so quick that I forget all my talking points. One of the things you can do with AutoTextMe is you can respond two-way communication, right? And I think once again that's very important because people are going to respond, and you need to be able to respond to their responses. You might have somebody in a business meeting, and they might say, "Hey, I know your car came in," or I could say, "Hey, your front brakes." They knew the car was in here for front brakes and rotors, so they say, "Hey, I'm in a meeting. What's the damage? What's going on with my vehicle?" You can send them the digital vehicle inspection, show them. You can send them a price. They can approve it without ever having to talk to a consumer, right? And you're gonna want to have that banner back and forth. So good question, Mike. Yes, in our system, you can certainly do the two-way communication. Perfect. All right. Any more questions? Just please throw them out there, and I will answer them throughout the presentation. All right, so going back to automated workflow, a lot of times we use a whiteboard for our workflow, and I think that this is a good way to present this. I have another question here. How does automated workflow get updated? So in AutoVitals and AutoTextMe, there's different login accounts that you can use. And so you have your technician account, you have your service provider accounts. So in anything that's a digital like workflow, you're going to have the person who manages it, which is typically going to be your service manager. But then everybody in the shop should be involved with the pass off and the handoff of the different tickets. It's not like you're exempt from even when you have paper, that paper means everything about the handoff, right? So when you're a technician in a digital aspect, if you have a digital board, he should be able to move to that diagnosing status. If you don't feel that he's comfortable in moving to that diagnosis status, then that service writer, that service manager should move that workboard along. I believe it's very important that you have a service manager that manages your workflow. If you have a service, you have somebody out in the bays, some sort of service manager, a shop manager versus a service manager. Your shop manager should be taking over the shop. He should know what your workflow is. Your service manager, the guy in the bays, he should know what's going on in your base. These two people should collaborate. Even if it's just one person do it at all, that person should be staying on top of this workflow, right? You want to not only allow your customers to know what's going on, you want to know where your bottlenecks are as a shop owner. You want to find out, hey, why do we have 18 cars in checked in right now? Why are they not moving along? So I think this workflow is very important, right? You need people to help in this process, whether it be your technicians or service writers. All right, let's continue to move along. Automated follow-up. Another important thing here, improves in customer experience. Whether it's an email follow-up, just saying thank you, whether it's text message follow-up saying thank you, whether it's a follow-up that shows them previous work that's been declined. Once again, very important to touch your customers after the fact, right? And you have something that's automated that allows you to touch these people and allows them to go and maybe leave a nice review for you because you automatically send them an email on a thank you on an exit of the shop. A couple of people who provide this, Shop Management Systems. My Shop Management System does provide this. They provide a couple of different follow-up pieces. Kukui also does. A lot of times your website providers will also allow you to they'll allow you to do these follow-ups as well. Demandforce, another product out there. All right, so we have another question here. Can we communicate inspection status with customers through the workflow? You can. Absolutely, you can send different types of updates through the workflow. You can also send digital inspections through the workflow. I think that's probably the question. I'll show you all that in a minute once I get to the digital workflow section, which is coming up. But yeah, sending a digital workflow to your consumer, I think becomes very important. They can see it, they can look at it, versus a piece of paper that you can't translate as very well or move to your customer very well. All right, phone call recordings is another way that RepairPal can help you. In any calls that were made as a follow-up, they have the ability to record your phone calls inbound, as well as. So I think this is a tool you can use to listen to those calls and use those as follow-ups as well, right? Did that person, purchase from you? Did they not purchase from you? Why did they not come to your shop, right? Maybe your service writer needed a little training there. So it's a way that RepairPal can help you once again in your shop. All right, stage 2.5, end of my mid-stage 2 here. Your digital vehicle inspection. Once again, very important in the shop. So I have a very far along the timeline. Once again, a lot of people think they have a digital inspection and they don't have a scheduler online, or they don't have some other important pieces I think that kind of work up to this. Allow for your customer to be easy to get into your shop, via scheduler or your online reputation. I think the digital inspection obviously helps in shop communications. I get this objection a lot from different shops that try and adopt digital inspections, and they say, my technician is quicker at handwriting an inspection than they are at the digital inspection, and I'm not going to disagree at first that's going to be the case. It is going to take them a learning curve to get used to digital. The problem is you have to look at the whole process, right? Not just look at the time it takes for the technician to fill it out, but the time that it takes for that piece of paper to get to the inside, right, of your shop, and then the time that it takes for your service writer to translate the writing into a digital format so then it can be presented to the consumer. Or what if they wanted to send the inspection to the consumer? Are they going to fax it to them? Are they going to scan it in, right? So you got to look at the whole process of digital inspection and how it influences the shop, right? Not just one piece about the technician having a problem, but the whole overall, how quickly it can make the whole shop, I think, flow much faster. From the customer's perspective, I've used this example many times. Your consumer has not been at a job where they can turn in a piece of paper in 20 years. They have been given digital reports now for the last, maybe not 20, let's say 10 years of their life. I think Microsoft Office has been around for probably 20 years. But they don't give in handwritten reports to their bosses, but here we are still giving handwritten reports to the consumer. So we need to start communicating in a way that the consumer understands and the way the consumer can grasp. This digital inspection, there's a couple people that provide it. AutoTextMe, we provide a digital inspection. AutoServe1, a good company out of Canada, Repair Shop Solutions, Bolt-On Technology, and AutoVitals. All of them providing digital inspections. There's actually probably about another 30 companies out there that provide it. The reason why I like to give lots of different options is so not every tool works for every shop. Kick the tires, go see what works for you, find out which inspection is going to work for your shop, what's going to fit your model the best. All right, stage 3. Let's get into the advanced. This is what I call the 1%. These are the shops that are doing very well, right? They're the early adopters of technology, and they don't care, right? They don't care whether or not the solution is perfect. They know that it's going to create a huge gap, right, for other shops to touch them. They're the guys that were up at the CARS conference about telematics. They're looking at the way telematics is going to affect their business and the way that it's going to affect everybody else's business. There's a lot of things coming. Virtual training. Virtual training is going to become very big as we get into augmented reality. Now virtual reality is here. Augmented reality means that I can take my technician and I can actually have him assemble and disassemble all the brake parts, right? And he can do the job there, and he's touching and feeling, because we learn by touching and feeling. So a lot of these things are not even matured. A lot of the products out there, I don't even think have matured yet. But this definitely are the shops that, man, they know that technology is coming, and they have no fear of the repercussions of, hey, let's adopt it now. It's going to be clunky. It might be a little bit uncomfortable, but we know that we're going to get ahead of the curve. Digital work order. So we talk about digital inspection. Digital work orders are something I think that absolutely helps as well, right? In the whole paperless back office. Once that digital inspection's done, now are you printing the work order to your technician for him to do the work, right? You know, my shop, we haven't gone fully digital. We're still working on getting that digital work order and getting all that whole process into place. My guys like paper, and I have to break them from that. You know, the digital work order starts helping you to start monitoring that efficiency and start, you know, that accountability, right? It eliminates that piece of paper that gets lost in the process. I think digital work orders are very important. I have another question here. Have you seen an ARO increase from digital inspections? Personally, yes, we have. I think most shops will see increases in digital inspections. I think the presentation of the consumer helps in two different ways. One, just the presentation. If they can get a report on their smartphone and they can see that, that makes you look very, very technologically savvy. Also, if you do it properly, and I learned this from Jeremy O'Neill, trainer out, runs AdvisorFix in California. If you send them that digital inspection and allow them to sit on that digital inspection for a couple minutes and consume it, then what you're doing is you're allowing them to digest what's going to happen. And what you do is you prepare them for the sales cycle that's about to happen. Right now, what we do is we call up a consumer and we give them $1,000 in estimates and we ask them immediately, do you want to buy it? And we're trained as a society to say no. By sending a digital inspection early, I think what it does is it allows you to digest it, right? I don't have to necessarily know the prices on it, although if I'm familiar with RepairPal, I can go to RepairPal and I can look up and I can see, oh, hey, this is going to be the range of my my service or what's going to cost me. So now when I go in as a consumer onto that phone with the service advisor, I'm going to have a better idea, right? I'm not going to be in shock, and I'm going to know that, hey, if the pictures, if I have, you know, a video of my belt that's wobbly, or I got leaks that I can see, I think that it certainly helps in that whole aspect of the sales. And by that presentation, and as long as everything's executed properly, then yeah, your ARO absolutely is going to go up. Good question, Daryl. So going back to digital work order, a couple of people who provide solutions, AutoVitals, they have pretty much a close end-to-end solution of digital process. Shop management systems, a lot of them actually allow you to do work orders, or they're getting to the point where they can do work orders soon. AutoTextMe will allow you to do a work order as well. Automated customer rewards. This is another thing that I see in stage 3. And I'm not talking about, you know, consumer, you give a punch card to somebody and they punch, you know, 5 times, and then the 6th time you give them a free oil change. It's not what I mean about a reward. I think that airlines do a very good job of rewards and points. I think that credit cards do it best with points, right? Why do we, as shop owners, why do we force our consumers to have to carry a card when we know who they are? We know what they spend. We should know who they're referring to us. So we should be rewarding them based off of that, right? We should be rewarding them because we understand who they are. We shouldn't be asking them to bring us a punch card, right? So here's some solutions here. I think that this, I want to put a big question mark here, because I think there's some land here that really can be discovered, and I think there's some rewards programs that can certainly be improved upon. But they just don't exist to be able to track and understand all the things that you really need to understand about rewarding that customer for being a good customer. Digital vehicle quality control. This is something I'm very, very passionate about, something I brought over from the software industry. Quality control, a check-out form. You have a check-in form, your digital vehicle inspection, but are you checking out the car before it gets back to the consumer? There's a lot of pet peeves here on checkout, and I sit in rooms of shop owners all the time, and these are the pet peeves. You know, oh man, my guys didn't sign off on the work. Oh, there were tools left in the car. The fluids aren't filled back up. And what about that check engine light that never got reset? Or the oil change sticker that's still left in the windshield? And what happens is, because we don't archive this, because we don't You know, let's say you can manage anything anything you can measure, you can manage. We're not measuring our quality control. We're trusting our technicians to go fix a car and then to do a drive around on it and then deliver it to us. And we assume that they're going to wipe their car down. We're going to assume that they're going to take their tools out. We're going to assume they're going to put the caps back on. And most of your A techs probably will, but your general service techs, your C techs, your B techs, right? They're going to have a problem with it, right? So quality control and a digital quality control check out sheet, right? What are some solutions that are provided? Well, we provided one with AutoTextMe. That was one of the things that I thought was very important was, hey, I want to be able to archive. You can get reporting off this. How many quality control issues did we have? You know, we talk about celebrating that we found the issues and not the customer, but it also allows me to go to, you know, the guy who I call Pigpen in my shop, who is, you know, he comes in at 7:30 and by 7:45 he's covered head to toe in grease. It allows me to go talk to him because I see that multiple times he has left grease in the car, multiple times, and I can go, hey, listen, Pigpen, I love you, man. You do great work, but you have to wash from here to here, right? Because I have 5 different cars that just went out of my base that had grease on them that we had to wipe down, right? And you can take corrective action on that. So quality control, I think, digital quality control is a very important piece in a further stage of development. Cloud-based SMS. Get this question asked a lot. Why do I need a cloud-based SMS? Why can't I have my desktop version of my shop management system? I'm going to talk about a couple different benefits to a cloud-based versus a non-cloud-based. Productivity and mobility. Look, every time that I was using a prior shop management system and I had to get the disk, the CD, and make an update was painful. Every time I added a new workstation to my workstations, because I had a new service writer, I wanted to put one out in the bays, I had to install the software. A cloud-based shop management system is not going to force you to do this, right? It's going to be very quick. Whether it has a thin client you have to install, but all the installs and updates are going to be done automatically, right? Your storage of your data, I know you get backups on your data. Look, I trust the Amazon cloud more than I trust the storage in my house, right? Amazon and Microsoft Azure, these clouds, they put a lot of money into building these storage facilities. They have a lot of redundancy. So I would much rather have easy updates that I don't have to make on my shop management system. Easy mobility, I can pull up my shop management system from everywhere. RDP, or remote desktop connection, is not what I call remote access, right? I can pull up my shop management system. I use Omnique. I can pull it up anywhere I need to. Shopware is another one. Protractor, ShopBoss Pros. There's a couple out there that I really like. Androli Associates, HIP BPOS. You got a couple out there that I think do very well with it. Okay, I got another question here. Mike asks, sorry, I keep getting distracted with that. Can I customize that form to fit my shop? And I want my team to look for. Yes, digital inspections and quality control forms, you can 100% configurable. They should be, any quality control form or digital inspection should be able to be molded to your shop or operation. I didn't mention that with the shop flows as well. AutoTextMe allows you to configure your status or workflow however you want. If you want 2 pieces of workflow, you can have 2 pieces of workflow. If you want 13 pieces of workflow, you can have 13 pieces of workflow. One of the things I'm going to plug AutoTextMe about is we absolutely create our tools to fit your model. We want to make a tool that fits your business, right? We know your business is different than my business. All of us are fixing cars, but we all do it a different way. Thank you, Mike. Good question. Virtual training. Another important piece, I know that online training is not what I consider virtual training. Improves employees, improves business. None of us want to send our technicians for training, right? We don't want to send our service writers for training. I think, once again, as technology becomes more and more relevant and augmented reality and virtual reality become more of a realistic thing and not just a word, that once again, you'll be able to sit your technician in a booth or in an office, and you'll be able to put the glasses and gloves on this guy, and he's going to be able to learn how to rebuild a brake system, right? He's going to be able to touch things, he's going to be able to move things, he's going to be able to do things virtually, right? And because technicians learn from touching things, and the problem is we don't have that ability to do that right now. If you sit him behind a desk and you have him watch 15 minutes versus a video, his mind's out of it, he's done. Right, so it needs to be interactive, and that's where I talk about good virtual training, right? Sitting in a room of my peers, and everybody's in the room, but none of us are in the room, right? I'm still interacting with Jeff, I'm still interacting with Joe, I'm still interacting with everybody in my 20 group, but I'm sitting in my office, right? And a lot of these training classes are moving this way, a lot of these training groups are moving this way. I have Electitude on here, very cool software that I've seen that actually for technicians, where you're actually pinning out software diagrams and different things. Very good piece of training right there that I've come across. AMI, another good one, AC Delco Online. Once again, these will continue to improve over time. Telematics, this could be a discussion all within itself. I'm running out of time. So telematics, it makes you sticky to your customer, right? How can your customer come in, right? How can you continue that relationship with that customer? The car's telling you what's wrong. When the car tells the consumer what's wrong, then they have no problem spending money in your shop. And I think that's a very big one that's on the horizon. Consume material. There's a lot of material you can consume about connected car. I suggest you do. I've got about 7-8 pages worth of data on different vendors on what connected car is, the different types of solutions, the different type of options, how we can implement it in our shop. We've actually had 2 different vendors come through our shop that we've tried 2 different devices. We continue to test them. We continue to analyze them to see what's best for our consumers. Customer invoices, put them online. You know, it's hard to do because there's not a lot of systems that allow you to put that online, but why do you print out the invoice for your customer? They're going to lose it. So allow it to go. I like Carfax. I like the way Carfax is moving. They're starting to aggregate data. If you take a car, it's funny, you might not lose the customer, but you're going to lose the car. So when the consumer sells the car to somebody else, right, you don't want that car to lose that data. And I think Carfax is starting to do a good job of aggregating that data. So if Jim sells the car to Mike and Mike goes to a different mechanic, if that shop's hooked up with Carfax, both of them are, then that new mechanic can see that history on that vehicle. And I think that's very important. I think it's good for a consumer. I think it's a benefit for a consumer because they can't keep up with their information. So let's do it digitally. Online receipts, same thing. You go to Target, you go to Home Depot, and they ask you, hey, do you want to receive your receipt online? Why are we printing up paper for them? Obviously, there are some, you know, some credit card processing companies that do this, but I'm not going to suggest any right now. I think that in the future, a lot of this is going to aggregate together, and you're going to get through your shop management system, through the systems working together. In summary, and I'm going to end right on time, don't be overwhelmed. You know, hopefully with that infographic you can download, go to www.shoptechnologytimeline.com. It'll give you a roadmap, right? Know where you're at. You're already on there. That's the good thing. You've already done some work to be there. And then know where you can go. It'll give you some things to look at options. Where do you want to go? Adopt sooner rather than later. Don't be compelled to adopt, right? Don't be forced to adopt like the cell phone, you know. Pick it up now. Start researching it now. Make some mistakes. It's okay, but have some vision. Create a gap for the other service shops in your area to have to follow. Increase your productivity and profits in your operation. And think like Amazon, not like Walmart. Once again, a company, Amazon, worth more than Walmart, right? Employs less people, open 24 hours a day, and you'd rather go to Amazon at night than you would at Walmart. With that, thank you for joining. Thank you, RepairPal, for sponsoring this event. I hope it was good. Here's our contact information. Here's mine. Visit me at autotextme.com. You can get more information about my product. You can email me at chris@autotextme.com. Here's my phone number. Please feel free to call me. If you want any more information on RepairPal, repairpalshops.com/autotextme. There's their email and their phone number as well. I want to thank Russell, and I want to thank Stephanie for setting this up. It's been a pleasure working with everybody, and for those of y'all left, I will. I'm gonna put down my microphone and I'm gonna sing like a medley real quick, because I promised anybody who stayed on that I would sing a medley real quick, and then I'll jump back on, and then we'll be over. So appreciate your time. Here's the medley real quick. probably going to sound horrible. Start with a little Hootie and the Blowfish. She sits alone by her lamp, trying to find a love that escaped her mind. She says there's one I know, just not far behind. Are you better? Baby, I am a man on the scene. I can give you what you want, but you got to come home with me. I've got some good old love and I got some more in store. When I get to the door, you gotta come back for more. Balls and things down by the door. There ain't nothing but a dancing lover. Pretty little thing that every light you can look. Cause mama, I'm sure I'm the hen of now. Yes, around. Yes. Once again, thank you, Repair Pal. Good afternoon. All right, we got some people in here. We're going to answer some questions until I guess everybody leaves. We got a question here. How are you guys that do telematics offsetting the cost? So right now we're trying to look at a different type of, there's a couple different models that you want to go for. Prescription model is or subscription model is the one that I think most shops are trying to lean for. There are two different types of telematic devices. There's one that has a chip actually in it, would be chip enabled, so it would have the cell chip in it, or the other one is Bluetooth enabled. The Bluetooth enable have a tendency to have a lower cost. There's some positives and negatives. One of the negatives is the consumer has to have the app loaded and they have to have their Bluetooth connected in order for you to get data transferred back to the cloud. The chip is more expensive and the chip goes, anything chip enabled goes directly to the cloud. I think that one of the things that you can focus on is maybe potentially having that as a diagnostic type, added as a diagnostic fee if you add into your diagnostic cost. You fix somebody's problem and then you add that in. You either give the consumer that device, right, because they're only a couple dollars, or you basically allow them to take that off campus for a couple weeks. You explain to them how it works. They like the added coverage, and then you sign them up for a subscription model. I think subscription's it, or you just give it to the consumer. Once again, if it's something that you can buy at bulk or purchase, why can't it be a loss leader like an oil change? We give stuff away all the time. Why can't we give away the device that we don't have a subscription fee on, or we do, we have a minimal subscription fee? So why can't we consume that? Once again, we want to make the audience sticky to us. Any more questions? Of course, that was for everybody. All right, I see we're dropping off now. All right, with that, I'm going to stop my screen sharing. Thank you, everybody. Once again, it's been a pleasure. Stephanie, were you saying something?
No.
Oh, okay. Are we good now?
I don't know how to end it.